The Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as news of humanity's gravitational breakthrough reached their chambers. Centuries of assumptions shattered in an instant. Humans, long dismissed as primitives, trapped on their high-gravity Deathworld, had achieved the impossible. At a United Nations press conference on Earth, Anthony Parker stood before a captivated audience, the brilliant engineer's hands steady as he activated his revolutionary anti-gravity device. The air shimmered, and gasps filled the room as Parker rose effortlessly from the ground. Earth's 9.8 ms2 acceleration neutralized. Draco, an Adoshan diplomat present at the demonstration, felt his scales prickle with unease. His tall, reptilian form towered over the humans around him, but for the first time, he felt small. The Adoshans, known for their advanced technology, had always looked down on humans. Now that superiority crumbled before his eyes. In the council chambers, representatives from various alien races argued fiercely. The policy of non-interference with Earth, maintained for generations, suddenly seemed foolish. Humans were no longer confined to their planet. The balance of power in the galaxy teetered on the edge of radical change. As the council debated initiating first contact or taking preemptive action, Anthony and his team at NASA worked tirelessly. They integrated the anti-gravity technology into existing spacecraft, preparing for humanity's first unassisted venture beyond Earth's atmosphere. The excitement among the human scientists was palpable, their dreams of exploring the cosmos finally within reach. Draco, recognizing the potential consequences of human expansion, proposed a bold plan to the council. His voice rang out in the chamber as he advocated for a covert mission to Earth. The objective? Assess the full extent of human capabilities and, if necessary, sabotage their efforts. The council, driven by fear and uncertainty, approved Draco's proposal. As Draco assembled his team for the infiltration mission, tension gripped Earth's nations. Governments vied for control of the new technology, each seeking to secure their place in the coming age of space exploration. The United States, aware of potential extraterrestrial interest, assigned an elite team of soldiers to protect Anthony and his groundbreaking research. Draco's team arrived on Earth under the cover of night, their advanced holographic technology disguising them as humans. They dispersed, infiltrating key scientific institutions, including the facility where Anthony continued to refine his anti-gravity device. The aliens moved among humans undetected, gathering intelligence and searching for weaknesses to exploit. As dawn broke over the horizon, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. Anthony Parker's invention promised to propel the species into the stars, while unseen alien forces worked to undermine their progress. The fate of Earth's place in the galactic community hung in the balance, with neither side fully aware of the cosmic chess game unfolding around them. In labs and government offices across the globe, humans worked feverishly to harness the power of anti-gravity. They dreamed of colonies on distant worlds, of ships that could traverse the galaxy with ease. Little did they know that the eyes of the galaxy were upon them, watching their every move with a mixture of fear, admiration, and calculating intent. The stage was set for a clash between human ingenuity and alien subterfuge. As Anthony Parker prepared to unveil the next phase of his revolutionary technology, Draco and his team closed in, determined to uncover the secrets of humanity's sudden leap forward. The future of both species and perhaps the entire galaxy would be decided in the coming days. As dawn broke over the Nevada desert, the sun's rays glinted off the sleek metal exterior of Icarus Base. Inside, Anthony Parker hunched over his workstation, his eyes bloodshot from another sleepless night. The anti-gravity device hummed softly beside him, a testament to his groundbreaking achievement. "Dr. Parker, you should get some rest," a deep voice called from the doorway. Anthony looked up to see Colonel James Hawkins, his muscular frame filling the entrance. "Just a few more calibrations, Colonel," Anthony replied, stifling a yawn. "We can't afford any mistakes." Hawkins strode into the lab, his boots echoing on the polished floor. "I understand, but we need you at your best. The whole world's watching us now." Anthony nodded, knowing the colonel was right. The weight of their mission pressed down on both men, heavier than any G-force they'd experienced in training. Meanwhile, halfway across the country, Draco, now known as Dr. Drake Edison, navigated the bustling corridors of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. His holographic disguise held firm as he nodded to passing colleagues, his reptilian nature hidden beneath a facade of human features. He slipped into an empty office, fingers flying over a keyboard as he accessed classified files. The schematics of the anti-gravity device filled the screen, and Draco's eyes widened with each new detail. A knock at the door made him freeze. "Dr. Edison?" Sarah Chen's voice called out. "I need to speak with you about some anomalies in our system logs." Draco quickly closed the files, his heart racing. "One moment," he called, composing himself before opening the door. Sarah stood before him, her dark eyes sharp with suspicion. "I've noticed some unusual access patterns lately. I was hoping you could shed some light on them." As they pored over the logs, Draco's mind raced, searching for a plausible explanation. He knew he was walking a dangerous line, but the fate of his mission, and potentially his entire species, hung in the balance. High above Earth's atmosphere, Commander Zax paced the bridge of the cloaked Centauri observation station. The blue-green orb of humanity's homeworld filled the view screen, taunting him with its newfound potential. "Status report on the EMP weapon," Zax barked at his second-in-command. "Construction is proceeding on schedule, Commander," the officer replied. "We'll be ready to deploy within 72 Earth hours." Zax nodded, his four eyes blinking in sequence. "Good. The Council may hesitate, but we cannot allow these humans to threaten galactic stability." Back on Earth, tensions between nations reached a fever pitch. In Moscow, President Volkov and Chinese Premier Li sat side by side, addressing a room full of reporters. "We call upon the United States to share this revolutionary technology," Volkov declared, his voice firm. "The skies belong to all of humanity, not just one nation." Premier Li nodded in agreement. "If our American friends refuse to cooperate, they leave us no choice but to pursue alternative measures." The thinly veiled threat sent shockwaves through diplomatic channels. In Washington, D.C., President Michael Stern gathered his advisors in the Situation Room. "We need to defuse this situation," Stern said, his face grim. "Get me a secure line to the UN. It's time to bring everyone to the table." As global leaders prepared for a high-stakes summit, Colonel Hawkins strapped himself into the G-Force simulator at Icarus Base. The machine whirred to life, pressing him back into his seat with increasing pressure. Colonel Hawkins, can you hear me?" The voice of Dr. Emily Sato, the base's chief medical officer, cut through the fog in Hawkins' mind. Dr. Sato frowned, checking his vitals. "This is serious, Colonel. We need to run some tests before I can clear you for the mission." Hawkins shook his head. "No time for that, Doc. Phoenix 1 launches in less than 2 weeks. I'll be ready." As Hawkins struggled with his own limitations, Sarah Chen dove deeper into her investigation of the security breaches. She compiled her findings into a report, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Dr. Rodriguez," she called, spotting her superior in the hallway, "I've finished my analysis. You need to see this." The disguised Idosian felt a flicker of panic, but maintained his composure. "Excellent work, Sarah. Let's discuss this in my office." As they walked, Dr. Rodriguez weighed his options. He could no longer ignore Sarah's investigation without arousing more suspicion. A more permanent solution might be necessary to protect the mission. In Nevada, Anthony Parker put the finishing touches on Phoenix 1. The spacecraft gleamed under the harsh lights of the hangar, its sleek design belying the revolutionary technology within. Anthony nodded, a hint of pride in his voice. 2 weeks from now, you'll be taking her beyond the stratosphere. How does it feel to be on the cusp of making history? Before Hawkins could answer, alarms blared throughout the base. Red lights flashed as security personnel rushed past them. A guard skidded to a stop beside them. "We've detected an unauthorized transmission from the base. Someone's been leaking classified data." As chaos erupted at Icarus Base, the cloaked Centauri station continued its silent vigil above the Earth. Commander Zax watched the EMP weapon take shape, unaware that his actions teetered on the brink of interstellar war. On the planet below, humanity stood at a crossroads. The promise of the stars beckoned. But the path forward was fraught with danger, from within and without. As the countdown to Phoenix One's launch ticked ever closer to zero, the fate of Earth hung in the balance, with forces beyond their comprehension poised to intervene. The alarms at Icarus Base continued to blare as Anthony Parker and Colonel Hawkins exchanged worried glances. The guard's words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Unauthorized transmission? From where? Anthony demanded, his mind racing through the possibilities. The guard shook his head. We're still pinpointing the source, sir. Cybersecurity is working on it now. Colonel Hawkins's face hardened. We need to lock this place down. Now. He turned to Anthony. Doctor, secure your lab and all research data. I'll coordinate with security. As they rushed to their respective tasks, the base erupted into controlled chaos. Security personnel swarmed through corridors, checking IDs and sealing off sections. In his lab, Anthony frantically backed up his data and initiated emergency encryption protocols. Meanwhile, at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Sarah Chen stared at her computer screen, her heart pounding. The anomalies she'd been tracking had coalesced into a clear pattern, and it all led back to Dr. Drake Edison. In his borrowed office, Draco cursed under his breath. His sophisticated alien technology had detected Sarah's probe into his activities. Time was running out. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Draco tensed, ready to flee at a moment's notice. High above Earth, Commander Zax watched with growing impatience as the EMP weapon neared completion. A subordinate approached, mandibles clicking nervously. Commander, we've received a transmission from the Council. They're demanding we stand down immediately. Zax's four eyes narrowed. Ignore it. We're too close to abort now. The humans must be stopped before they upset the balance of power in the galaxy. The subordinate hesitated. Sir, with all due respect, this could be considered an act of war. Zax whirled on him. And allowing humans to spread unchecked throughout the cosmos won't be? We do this for the greater good of all species. Back on Earth, President Stern paced the Oval Office, surrounded by his top advisors. The latest intelligence reports painted a grim picture. Russian and Chinese naval forces were on the move, taking up positions that could only be described as threatening. Mr. President, his Secretary of State began, we need to de-escalate this situation before it spirals out of control. A moment of tense silence filled the room. Then Stern's eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. His advisors exchanged surprised looks. Sir, his chief of staff ventured, are you sure that's wise? The security risks alone are outweighed by the potential benefits, Stern finished. We invite international observers. Make it completely transparent. It's a gamble, but it might be our best shot at avoiding conflict. As the president's team scrambled to put the plan into action, Colonel Hawkins found himself in the medical bay at Icarus Base. Dr. Emily Sato frowned as she reviewed his latest test results. Your vital signs are stable, Colonel, she said, but I'm still concerned about the effects of prolonged exposure to the anti-gravity field. Hawkins waved off her concerns. We don't have time for this, Doc. The launch has been moved up. I need to be cleared for duty. Dr. Sato hesitated, then reluctantly nodded. All right, but I want you monitored constantly during the mission. Any sign of distress, and you abort. Understood? Crystal clear, Hawkins replied, already heading for the door. In his lab, Anthony Parker was making final adjustments to the anti-gravity device when he noticed something odd. The energy readouts were fluctuating in a way he'd never seen before. Anthony's mind raced. With the launch moved up, there was no time for a complete redesign. But if they proceeded without addressing the flaw... At JPL, Sarah Chen had finally managed to decrypt a series of transmissions linked to Dr. Edison's account. What she found made her blood run cold. The messages were clearly not of human origin. She grabbed her laptop and sprinted for the security office. We have a breach, she shouted as she burst through the door. Dr. Edison, he's not who he says he is. As security personnel mobilized, the lights in the building flickered and died. Emergency generators kicked in, casting an eerie red glow through the corridors. In the confusion, Draco slipped out of his office. the stolen data securely stored in a device of alien design. He moved swiftly towards the exit, his holographic disguise still holding. For a moment, they stared at each other in shocked silence. Then Sarah's eyes widened in recognition. Draco's holographic disguise flickered and failed, revealing his true Adoshan form. With inhuman speed, he shoved past Sarah and sprinted down the hallway. Alarms blared throughout the facility as Draco fled, security forces in hot pursuit. He tapped a concealed communicator on his wrist. "Extraction team, I need immediate evac." As chaos engulfed JPL, the situation at Icarus Base was reaching a critical point. Anthony Parker and Colonel Hawkins huddled over the anti-gravity device, discussing options in hushed, urgent tones. "If we don't fix this, the consequences could be catastrophic," Anthony insisted. Hawkins ran a hand through his hair. "But if we delay the launch, we risk global conflict, not to mention whatever our unseen enemies might be planning." Before they could reach a decision, a technician burst into the lab. "Sirs, you need to see this. We're picking up a massive energy signature in orbit. Origin unknown." In space, Commander Zax initiated the final sequence for the EMP weapon. Earth loomed large in the view screen, blissfully unaware of the threat hovering above. Zax's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Prepare to fire on my mark." As the fates of 2 species hung in the balance, the countdown to both disaster and discovery ticked inexorably forward. In labs, government offices, and secret alien outposts, decisions made in the next few moments would shape the future of Earth and its place in the galactic community. The stage was set for a confrontation that would echo across the stars. The alarms at Icarus Base continued to blare as Anthony Parker and Colonel Hawkins raced towards the control room. The guard's words about an unauthorized transmission hung heavy in the air, adding to the tension of the impending launch. As they burst through the doors, screens flickered to life, displaying a disturbing array of data. Anthony's eyes widened as he scanned the readouts from the anti-gravity device. "This can't be right," he muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Colonel, we have a serious problem." Hawkins leaned in, his face etched with concern. "Talk to me, Parker. What are we looking at?" Anthony pulled up a series of graphs, each showing alarming fluctuations. "There's a fundamental flaw in the anti-gravity technology. If we launch without addressing this, the consequences could be catastrophic." Before Hawkins could respond, a technician called out, "Sir, we're receiving an urgent message from JPL." A stunned silence fell over the control room. Hawkins was the first to recover. "Chen, what are you saying?" "I've uncovered evidence of alien infiltration," Sarah continued, her voice shaking. "Dr. Edison, or whatever his real name is, has been accessing classified files and sending encrypted transmissions off-world. We need to—" Her transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. Hawkins turned to his security chief. "Lock down the base. Find Edison." Hawkins' communicator crackled to life. "Colonel, this is President Stern. We're proceeding with the launch as planned. International observers are already en route." "But sir," Hawkins protested, "we've uncovered serious issues." "I understand, Colonel," Stern interrupted, his voice grave. "But we're on the brink of global conflict. This launch may be our only chance to de-escalate the situation. You have your orders." The line went dead, leaving Hawkins and Anthony staring at each other in disbelief. "We can't just—" Anthony began, but Hawkins cut him off. "We have our orders, Doctor, but that doesn't mean we give up. You have until launch to find a fix. Every resource at your disposal. Make it happen." As Anthony dove back into his work, alarms blared once again. A technician called out, "Massive energy signature detected in orbit. Origin unknown." On the monitor, a pulsating blob of light appeared above Earth's atmosphere. Hawkins's blood ran cold as he realized the implications. "Get me the president," he barked. Thousands of miles above, Commander Zax watched with grim satisfaction as the EMP weapon powered up. Earth hung below, blissfully unaware of the threat looming above. "Weapon charged and ready, Commander," his weapons officer reported. Back at Icarus Base, Anthony worked feverishly, his fingers flying across multiple keyboards as he attempted to stabilize the anti-gravity device. Sweat beaded on his forehead as lines of code scrolled across the screens. Come on, he muttered, racing against time. Colonel Hawkins strode into the room, his face a mask of grit. Parker, we're out of time. I'm taking her up. Anthony spun in his chair. Colonel, you can't. The device isn't stable. We don't have a choice, Hawkins replied, already heading for the launch pad. Keep working. If you find a fix, we'll implement it in flight. As Hawkins boarded Phoenix 1, chaos erupted across the globe. Deep space monitoring stations detected the energy buildup from Zax's weapon, triggering worldwide alerts. Military forces scrambled, misinterpreting the alien threat as a potential attack from terrestrial adversaries. In Moscow, President Vetrov received an urgent briefing. Mr. President, we believe the Americans are preparing a preemptive strike. Our satellite network is ready to deploy. Vetrov's eyes narrowed. Activate the system. We will not be caught off guard. As the Phoenix 1 countdown reached its final moments, Anthony had a breakthrough. His eyes lit up as the simulation results flashed across the screen. This is it, he shouted, immediately transmitting the data to the spacecraft. On the launch pad, Hawkins received the update. With seconds to spare, he implemented the fix, praying it would be enough. The engines roared to life, and Phoenix 1 lifted off in a blaze of fire and smoke. As it climbed through the atmosphere, Zax gave the command. Fire! The EMP pulse raced towards Earth, a wave of destructive energy capable of crippling the planet's technology. But as it entered the upper atmosphere, something unexpected happened. The Russian-Chinese satellite network, designed to intercept incoming threats, activated. A shimmering web of energy materialized, intersecting with the alien pulse. The collision of technologies created a spectacular display, visible from the ground as an aurora of impossible colors. In the Mojave Desert, Draco reached his extraction point, the stolen anti-gravity prototype clutched tightly. But as he prepared to signal his ship, a shadow fell over him. He looked up to see Zax's personal shuttle descending, its weapons trained on him. Aboard Phoenix 1, Hawkins grappled with the controls as the spacecraft accelerated far beyond its design capabilities. The anti-gravity device, while stabilized, was pushing the ship to its limits. Mission Control, do you copy? Hawkins called out, fighting against the G-forces. We're experiencing unprecedented acceleration. But his words were met with static. The ship's incredible speed had caused a communication blackout, leaving Hawkins alone as he hurtled towards the edge of the solar system. On Earth, Anthony and his team worked desperately to re-establish contact. We've lost him, Anthony said, his voice hollow. We have no idea where he's going or if he's even alive. As nations around the world reeled from the events unfolding in space, a new voice entered the fray. Dr. Elena Volkov, her face grave on the screen, addressed a hastily assembled group of international leaders. Gentlemen, she began, her accent thick but her words clear, what we have witnessed today is only the beginning. My team has been monitoring anomalous signals from space for months. We believe they are linked to the alien presence that has revealed itself today. She paused, letting her words sink in. I propose a collaboration. We share our data, you share your anti-gravity technology. Together we may stand a chance against whatever comes next. As Earth grappled with the reality of alien contact, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The normally orderly proceedings had dissolved into chaos, with representatives from hundreds of species shouting over one another. The Arcturian delegate rose, its crystalline form shimmering. Order. We must decide how to proceed. The humans have advanced far more quickly than anticipated. Do we reveal ourselves openly, or take more decisive action? Silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. The decision they made here would shape the future of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Meanwhile, in the vast emptiness of space, Colonel Hawkins struggled to regain control of Phoenix 1. The ship's sensors blared warnings as it approached an invisible barrier, the cloaked alien observation station. Hawkins gritted his teeth, pulling hard on the controls. "Come on, baby," he muttered. "Don't fail me now." As Phoenix One hurtled towards its unexpected encounter, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The actions taken in the next few hours would determine not only the success of the mission, but the very future of Earth in the cosmic order. Colonel James Hawkins' knuckles turned white as he gripped the controls of Phoenix One. The ship hurtled through the void at a speed that defied comprehension, the anti-gravity device pushing far beyond its intended limits. Alarms blared and warning lights flashed across the cockpit, but Hawkins tuned them out, focusing solely on regaining control of the runaway vessel. With a series of precise movements, he managed to stabilize the ship's trajectory. The violent shaking subsided, but the relentless acceleration continued. Hawkins tapped at the control panel, trying to disengage the anti-gravity device. Nothing happened. Static crackled through the speakers. Hawkins repeated his call, desperation creeping into his voice. Still nothing but the hiss of cosmic background radiation. In the depths of space, an invisible barrier loomed. Commander Zack stood on the bridge of the cloaked observation station, his four eyes fixed on a holographic display showing the rapidly approaching human vessel. An alarm sounded, projecting a collision course. Zack's mind raced through the possibilities, each outcome more disastrous than the last. With a heavy heart, he made his decision. "Disengage the cloaking field," he ordered. "Initiate evasive maneuvers." The massive station shimmered into view, its true form revealed for the first time to human eyes. Thrusters fired, pushing the station out of Phoenix One's path. Back on Earth, in the depths of Icarus Base, Anthony Parker hunched over a bank of computers. His fingers flew across multiple keyboards, lines of code scrolling past faster than the human eye could follow. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he worked to re-establish contact with the lost ship. "Come on, Colonel," he muttered. "Where are you?" A hand touched his shoulder. Anthony looked up to see Sarah Chen, her face drawn with worry. "This can't be right," he said, gesturing for Sarah to look. "According to these readings, Phoenix One is moving at... It's impossible. The anti-gravity device was never designed to produce this kind of acceleration." Before Sarah could respond, the room erupted into chaos. Technicians shouted and pointed at the main view screen, where a massive object had appeared in high Earth orbit. Anthony's blood ran cold as he realized the implications. "It's them," he whispered. "The aliens. They're here." The base intercom crackled to life. "Dr. Parker, report to the Situation Room immediately." Anthony exchanged a glance with Sarah before hurrying out of the control center. He arrived at the Situation Room to find it packed with military brass and government officials. At the head of the table sat a woman he didn't recognize, her piercing stare fixed on a tablet in front of her. Colonel Hawkins introduced her. "Dr. Parker, this is Dr. Elena Volkov. She's been monitoring anomalous signals from space for months. Dr. Volkov, please continue." The Russian scientist nodded, her accent thick but her English clear. "What we have witnessed today is only the beginning. The signals we've detected suggest a long-term alien presence in our solar system. The sudden appearance of this station confirms our worst fears." She tapped her tablet, projecting a series of complex graphs and charts onto the room's main screen. "By correlating our data with the information from Phoenix One, we've been able to pinpoint the station's exact location." "We need to establish contact," he said, breaking the silence, "both with the station and with Colonel Hawkins." Dr. Volkov nodded in agreement. "I concur, but we must proceed with caution. We have no idea of their intentions or capabilities." Draco, the Adoshan spy, found himself caught in a standoff. Zax's personal shuttle hovered above, weapons trained on his position, but before either side could make a move, the whine of human aircraft filled the air. Military helicopters appeared on the horizon, closing in fast. Panicking, Draco fumbled with the stolen anti-gravity prototype. His clawed fingers slipped, activating the device. A shimmering field of energy expanded outward, enveloping Draco, the shuttle, and the approaching human forces. Gravity wavered and failed. Rocks, vehicles, and people alike began to float, caught in the expanding anti-gravity bubble. Chaos erupted as soldiers and aliens alike struggled to orient themselves in the suddenly weightless environment. High above Earth, in the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council chamber, heated arguments gave way to a somber silence. The Arcturian delegate's crystalline form pulsed with soft light as it addressed the assembly. "We have deliberated, and a decision has been reached," it announced. "Ambassador Lyrax will lead a peacekeeping mission to Earth. Her task is to mitigate the damage caused by Zax's unsanctioned actions and to prepare humanity for formal first contact." As the Council's proclamation echoed through the chamber, Colonel Hawkins faced a critical decision aboard Phoenix 1. The alien station loomed before him, a massive structure of impossible geometry. With no way to slow his ship's relentless acceleration, Hawkins made a choice that would alter the course of human history. With expert precision, he adjusted Phoenix 1's trajectory. The ship's hull groaned under the stress as Hawkins lined up his approach. He was going to dock with the alien station, or die trying. As Phoenix 1 closed the final distance, humanity collectively held its breath. On millions of screens across the globe, people watched in awe as the tiny human ship made contact with the vast alien structure. A shower of sparks erupted at the point of impact. And then, for the first time in history, a human-made vessel had physically linked with advanced alien technology. As Colonel Hawkins unstrapped himself from the pilot's seat, preparing to venture into the unknown, the future of human-alien relations hung in the balance. Back on Earth, in the Oval Office, President Stern stared out the window at the Washington Monument. The weight of the world rested on his shoulders as he contemplated the words that would inform humanity of its new place in the cosmos. He turned to his assembled advisors, including Anthony Parker and Dr. Volkov, who had been rushed to the White House. "We're about to change the course of human history," Stern said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Let's make sure we get it right." As the president prepared to address the world, Sarah Chen made a breakthrough in her decryption efforts. Her eyes widened as she scanned the translated alien communications, revealing the Galactic Council's original plans for Earth and the potential consequences of humanity's rapid advancement. She reached for her phone, knowing that this information could fundamentally alter Earth's approach to the impending first contact. But before she could dial, a shadow fell across her desk. She looked up to see a figure that was decidedly not human. Sarah's hand inched towards the alarm button under her desk. The future of humanity might well depend on what happened in the next few moments. Seconds. Time seemed to slow as Sarah stared into the alien's multifaceted eyes, her hand frozen inches from the alarm. A blinding flash filled the room, accompanied by a deafening boom. Sarah's vision blurred, her ears ringing. When her senses cleared, she found herself alone, a faint shimmer in the air, the only evidence of her extraterrestrial visitor. Before she could process what had happened, alarms blared throughout the facility. Sarah's computer screen flashed with urgent messages. Her eyes widened as she read the incoming data. The spacecraft lurched, decelerating rapidly. Hawkins's vision darkened at the edges as G-forces threatened to overwhelm him. With a final violent jerk, Phoenix 1 came to rest inside a cavernous hangar bay. Hawkins blinked, trying to clear the spots from his vision. As his eyes focused, he found himself face to face with an alien figure. The creature stood nearly 7 feet tall, its iridescent skin shimmering under the hangar lights. 4 arms ended in delicate, multi-jointed fingers. But it was the eyes that captured Hawkins's attention, deep pools of swirling colors that seemed to bore into his very soul. "I am Commander Zax," the alien said, its voice a melodic hum that Hawkins felt as much as heard. "You have violated restricted space, human. Explain yourself." Hawkins swallowed hard, acutely aware that he was making first contact on humanity's behalf. "I'm Colonel James Hawkins of Earth. Our mission was purely exploratory. We had no idea this station was here." Zax's eyes narrowed, colors swirling faster. "Your technology should not have allowed you to reach this location. How did you achieve this?" Before Hawkins could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Zax turned, barking orders in an alien language. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing a rapidly expanding disturbance on Earth's surface. Amidst the mayhem, Draco darted between floating cars and debris, The Adoshan spy clutched the stolen anti-gravity prototype to his chest, his alien physiology allowing him to navigate the zero-G environment with surprising agility. A human helicopter, caught in the field's edge, spun wildly out of control. Draco seized the opportunity, leaping onto its open side door. With a final glance at the pursuing forces below, he slipped inside and forced the pilot out. The helicopter rose higher, carrying Draco and the prototype to safety. At Icarus Base, Anthony Parker and Dr. Elena Volkov huddled over a bank of computers. Lines of code scrolled past as they worked furiously to understand the desert anomaly. Anthony nodded grimly. If we don't find a way to stop it soon, we could be looking at a global catastrophe. Elena's fingers flew across the keyboard, inputting new variables into their simulation. Suddenly, she gasped, "Anthony, look at this!" "This could work," he breathed, "but we'd need direct access to the prototype to implement it." Before they could discuss further, the door burst open. Sarah Chen rushed in, her face pale. "You need to see this," she said, thrusting a tablet into their hands. Anthony and Elena read quickly, their expressions growing more serious with each line. The decoded alien communications revealed the Galactic Council's original plans for Earth, plans that had been upended by humanity's rapid technological progress. "We need to inform the president," Anthony said, reaching for the secure phone. In the Oval Office, President Stern stood before a bank of cameras, his face grave. "My fellow Americans, citizens of the world," he began, his voice steady despite the weight of his words. "Today we face a moment unprecedented in human history. I can now confirm that we are not alone in the universe." As Stern continued his address, detailing the events of the past few hours and calling for global unity, reactions varied wildly across the planet. In New York's Times Square, crowds gathered, their faces a mix of awe and fear as they watched the president's broadcast on massive screens. In Beijing, government officials huddled in emergency sessions, reassessing their geopolitical strategies in light of this new reality. High above the Earth, Ambassador Lyrax's peacekeeping fleet arrived in a dazzling display of advanced technology. Massive ships, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly sheen, took up positions around the planet. On the bridges of these vessels, alien crews worked tirelessly, monitoring the escalating situation below. Lyrax herself, a towering figure with graceful, elongated limbs and skin that seemed to shimmer with starlight, opened a communication channel to Earth's leaders. Her voice, translated through advanced AI, resonated with authority and compassion. "People of Earth," she began, "I come on behalf of the Galactic Council. We offer our assistance in this time of crisis and request an immediate ceasefire. Let us work together to perseverance these conflicts and forge a new path forward." As world leaders scrambled to respond to this unprecedented offer, a new alliance was forming. In a secure video conference, Russian President Vetrov and Chinese Premier Li Xian spoke with President Stern. "In light of recent events," Vetrov said, his typically stern features softened by a hint of uncertainty, "we propose a global coalition. Our differences pale in comparison to the challenges we now face together." Li Xian nodded in agreement. "United, we stand a better chance of securing humanity's place among the stars." President Stern listened intently, hope mingling with caution in his eyes. As the leaders discussed the framework for this new alliance, reports flooded in from the Mojave Desert. The anti-gravity anomaly had reached a critical point, affecting weather patterns and creating a massive storm that threatened to engulf the entire western United States. In the alien observation station, Colonel Hawkins found himself locked in a battle of wills with Commander Zax. The two stood mere feet apart, neither willing to back down. "Your people have advanced far more quickly than we anticipated," Zax said, a note of grudging respect in his voice. "Perhaps we have underestimated you." Hawkins seized on this opening. "Then work with us," he urged. "Together we can solve this crisis and build a better future for both our species." As Zax considered these words, long-range sensors on Earth detected a new threat. A massive object, larger than any spacecraft ever encountered, entered the solar system at impossible speed. Its purpose and origin remained a mystery, but its presence added yet another layer of complexity to an already chaotic situation. With multiple crises unfolding simultaneously, humanity stood at a crossroads. The decisions made in the coming hours would shape not only Earth's immediate fate, but its entire future in the vast, uncharted expanse of the cosmos. Anthony Parker, reviewing the data on the approaching object, felt a chill run down his spine. He turned to Dr. Volkov and Sarah Chen, his face grim. "We need to act fast," he said. "If we can't stabilize that anti-gravity field and deal with this new threat, everything else might be moot." As they began formulating a plan, the fate of two worlds, human and alien, hung in the balance. The next moves would determine whether this first contact would lead to a new era of cooperation or spiral into an interstellar conflict with unimaginable consequences. The massive object hurtling towards the solar system sent Earth's deep space monitoring systems into overdrive. Screens at NASA and other space agencies worldwide lit up with urgent alerts as the anomaly's true nature became clear. "It's a ship," breathed Dr. Samantha Reeves, lead astrophysicist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. "And it's enormous." The vessel dwarfed even the largest ships in the Galactic Council's peacekeeping fleet. Its energy signature defied classification, suggesting technology far beyond anything Earth or its new alien contacts had encountered. At the White House Situation Room, President Stern absorbed this latest development with a grim expression. "So we're dealing with not one, but two advanced alien civilizations now?" "It appears so, Mr. President," replied Defense Secretary Hammond, "and this new arrival is a complete unknown." The tension in the room was palpable as the implications sank in. Earth's tenuous position had just become even more precarious. High above, on the alien observation station, Colonel Hawkins and Commander Zax found themselves in an unlikely alliance. The arrival of the mysterious megaship had shifted their priorities dramatically. "Your anti-gravity technology," Zax said, his multifaceted eyes fixed on Hawkins. "It's more advanced than we realized. How did you achieve this?" Zax considered for a moment, then nodded. "Agreed. The threat we face may require our combined knowledge." As they exchanged information, holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing star charts and technical schematics. Together, they began formulating a plan to address the multiple crises unfolding. Meanwhile, the situation in the Mojave Desert had reached critical levels. The anti-gravity storm now threatened to destabilize Earth's entire atmosphere. At Icarus Base, Anthony Parker and Dr. Elena Volkov worked feverishly to finalize their implosion plan. Anthony nodded, his eyes never leaving the screen. "The prototype and drive we can manage, but that power source—" Their conversation was interrupted by Sarah Chen bursting into the room. "We've got a lead on the prototype," she announced. "Draco's offering to return it in exchange for amnesty." Anthony's eyebrows shot up. "The Adoshan spy? Can we trust him?" Sarah shrugged. "Do we have a choice? I've already coordinated with military forces for safe passage." "We stand at a crossroads," Stern addressed the assembled faces on the secure video link. "Our response to this crisis will shape humanity's future among the stars." Russian President Vetrov nodded gravely. "We must present a united front. Our differences are insignificant in the face of this new threat." As debates raged, Ambassador Lyrax made her move. The elegant alien's image appeared on a separate screen, her voice resonating with authority. "We offer our advanced technology to stabilize the anti-gravity anomaly," she said. "In exchange, we ask that humanity agree to join diplomatic talks once the crisis is determinationed." The offer sent ripples through the summit. Leaders argued fiercely, weighing immediate survival against potential long-term consequences. At Icarus Base, Draco arrived under heavy guard, the stolen prototype clutched to his chest. Anthony and Elena wasted no time integrating it with their implosion technology, but as the final calculations came in, Anthony's face fell. Elena stared at the energy requirement readouts, her mind racing. Suddenly, Anthony's eyes lit up. "The alien station," he said, "its energy core could be powerful enough." Before they could explore this idea further, alarms blared throughout the base. Outside, the sky had turned an ominous, swirling purple as the anti-gravity storm intensified. High above, Colonel Hawkins had managed to establish a tenuous communication link with Earth. He relayed critical information about the station's energy core, offering it as a potential solution. "It's risky," Hawkins explained, his voice crackling over the link. "But if we can coordinate between your team, the station, and possibly the Galactic Council's forces, we might pull this off." As Anthony and Elena digested this information, another communication came through. The Russian-Chinese alliance announced a breakthrough in adapting their satellite network to interface with alien technology. Anthony's eyes met Elena's, hope kindling. "This could work," he said softly. But even as plans began to form, the situation took another dramatic turn. The alien megaship, now in Mars orbit, suddenly released thousands of smaller craft. They took up positions around Earth and the Moon, effectively surrounding the planet. At the global summit, leaders watched in stunned silence as the vessels deployed. Their intentions remained a mystery, adding yet another layer of complexity to the already chaotic situation. President Stern broke the silence. "We're out of time," he said, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "We need to act now. Ambassador Lyrax, we accept your offer of assistance. Let's hope it's not too late." As world leaders scrambled to coordinate their responses, the teams at Icarus Base and the alien station prepared for their daring plan. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, with success depending on the fragile alliance between Earth, the Galactic Council, and their former adversaries. In the control room of the alien station, Colonel Hawkins and Commander Zax stood side by side, watching as the energy core hummed to life. The air crackled with tension and possibility. "Ready to make history?" Hawkins asked, a wry smile on his face despite the gravity of the situation. Zax's multifaceted eyes swirled with unreadable emotions. "Let us hope it is the right kind of history, Colonel." As they initiated the power transfer sequence, the unknown alien fleet loomed silent and watchful. Humanity's first true test on the galactic stage had begun, with the eyes of the cosmos upon them. President Stern's voice cut through the tense atmosphere of the global summit. "We accept your offer, Ambassador Lyrax. Earth stands ready to cooperate." The elegant alien's features softened with what seemed like relief. "We will begin immediately. Your planet's survival is our priority." As the summit concluded, a flurry of activity erupted across the globe. Military forces mobilized, scientists scrambled, and civilians watched with anxious anticipation as humanity embarked on its first truly united endeavor. At Icarus Base, Anthony Parker and Dr. Elena Volkov worked with feverish intensity. Their fingers flew over holographic displays, making final adjustments to the anti-gravity implosion device. Anthony nodded, allowing himself a brief moment of pride. "Now we just need that power source." As if on cue, Colonel Hawkins's voice crackled over the comm system. "Icarus Base, this is Colonel Hawkins. We're moving into position now." High above the Earth, the alien observation station glided into place. Inside the control room, Hawkins and Zax stood side by side, an unlikely pair united by circumstance. Hawkins' hands danced over the alien controls, guiding the massive structure with precision. "Zax, I need you to monitor the energy core output. We can't afford any fluctuations." On Earth, a network of satellites hummed to life. The Russian-Chinese alliance had worked miracles, adapting their technology to interface with the alien systems in record time. As the final preparations were made, the unknown alien fleet suddenly sprang into action. A shimmering energy field expanded from their ships, enveloping the Earth in seconds. Panic erupted as communications worldwide went dark. Cell phones fell silent, internet connections dropped, and satellite feeds cut out. In the span of heartbeats, humanity found itself isolated and vulnerable. Ambassador Lyrax's image flickered to life on emergency channels. "We're activating our shielding technology now. It will protect your key locations from the interference." True to her word, protective bubbles of energy sprang up around Icarus Base, major cities, and vital infrastructure. Inside these zones, communications sputtered back to life. Amidst the chaos, a lone aircraft took off from a hidden airstrip. At the controls sat Draco, the Adosian spy seeking redemption. His cargo, a crucial component for the implosion device. As Draco's ship entered the swirling maelstrom of the anti-gravity storm, he gritted his teeth against the onslaught of forces threatening to tear his craft apart. "This is Draco," he transmitted. "Entering the anomaly now. It's unlike anything I've ever seen." Back at Icarus Base, Anthony's eyes widened as new data flowed across his screen. "Elena, look at this," he called out. "The energy signature from the unknown fleet. It matches our initial anti-gravity tests." "Unless they've been here before," Anthony finished grimly. Their speculation was cut short as alarms blared. The anti-gravity storm had reached critical levels, its effects now visible to the naked eye. The sky above the Mojave Desert churned with unnatural colors, while in the distance, entire sections of landscape seemed to float and distort. "It's now or never," Anthony declared. He took a deep breath and keyed the activation sequence. Energy surged through the satellite network, a river of power flowing from the alien station to Earth. The implosion device hummed to life, its components glowing with otherworldly light. In the heart of the storm, Draco's ship bucked and shuddered. "I can see the target," he transmitted, preparing for final approach. As Draco maneuvered his precious cargo into place, Colonel Hawkins and Zax worked in perfect synchronization aboard the alien station. Their hands flew over controls, adjusting power flow to compensate for the interference from the unknown alien's energy field. "Power output at maximum," Zax reported, holding steady. Hawkins nodded, sweat beading on his forehead. "Keep it there. We can't afford to lose it now." The implosion sequence initiated with a blinding flash of light. The anti-gravity anomaly seemed to pause for a moment, as if surprised by the assault. Then, slowly but surely, it began to contract. Around the world, billions watched in awe as the nightmarish storm that had threatened to tear their planet apart started to recede. Hope, fragile but persistent, began to bloom. But the battle was a long way to go. As the implosion intensified, it generated massive gravitational waves. These invisible ripples spread across the globe, triggering earthquakes and massive tidal surges. In orbit, the unknown alien fleet reacted. Their ships moved with fluid grace, rearranging themselves into complex, symmetrical patterns around Earth and the Moon. The purpose of this maneuver remained a mystery, but its precision left no doubt about the aliens' technological prowess. The alien megaship looming over Mars continued its inscrutable operations, mining and constructing on a scale that defied comprehension. Whatever its purpose, it was clear that the solar system would never be the same. In the control room of Icarus Base, Anthony Parker watched the readings with intense focus. The anti-gravity anomaly was collapsing, but at what cost, and what would emerge from the other side of this crisis? As the implosion device poured more energy into the heart of the storm, the unknown alien's energy field pulsed in response. The two forces clashed in a spectacular display of light and power, visible even from the ground. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, poised between destruction and rebirth. The outcome of this moment would echo through the stars, shaping the destiny of Earth and its people for generations to come. The implosion device roared to life, pouring an unimaginable torrent of energy into the heart of the anti-gravity storm. The churning maelstrom of unnatural forces began to contract, its wild energies slowly bending to the will of human ingenuity. Dr. Elena Volkov nodded, her face etched with concentration. "But we're not out of the woods yet. Look at these readings." The floor beneath their feet trembled as massive gravitational waves rippled outward from the epicenter of the implosion. Across the globe, seismographs registered earthquakes of increasing intensity. Coastal areas braced for impact as tidal fluctuations threatened to overwhelm seawalls and flood defenses. In the skies above the Mojave Desert, Draco fought to keep his modified aircraft on course. The gravitational forces shifted unpredictably, creating pockets of intense G-forces followed by moments of near weightlessness. Warning lights flashed across his console as the craft's structure groaned under the strain. "Icarus Base, this is Draco," he transmitted, his voice tight with tension. "Approaching the drop zone, but the turbulence is extreme. Not sure how much longer this bird will hold together." As if to punctuate his words, a loud crack echoed through the cockpit. Draco watched in horror as a fissure spread across the canopy, spiderweb cracks racing across the reinforced glass. With the aircraft disintegrating around him, Draco made a split-second decision. He reached for the ejection handle, simultaneously activating the release mechanism for his precious cargo. "Icarus Base, I'm punching out. Component is on its way. Good luck." The canopy blew away, and Draco was catapulted into the swirling chaos of the anti-gravity storm. His specially designed suit activated, its limited anti-gravity capabilities giving him a modicum of control as he plummeted towards the Earth. Above him, he watched the component, humanity's last hope, descend on its own parachute. At Icarus Base, alarms blared as the localized gravity fluctuations intensified. Support beams groaned, and hairline cracks appeared in the reinforced walls of the control center. "We're losing structural integrity," Elena shouted over the din. "If we don't stabilize soon—" Her words were cut short as a violent tremor shook the base. Equipment toppled, and sparks flew from damaged consoles. Anthony gritted his teeth, fighting to maintain his footing. "We need that component. Without it, the implosion process will spiral out of control." High above the Earth, aboard the alien observation station, Colonel Hawkins and Zax faced their own crisis. The massive energy transfer had pushed the station's systems to their limits. "Power core temperature critical," Zax reported, his multifaceted eyes swirling with concern. "We cannot sustain this output level." Hawkins nodded grimly, his hands flying over the alien controls. "We have to. If we cut power now, everything we fought for is lost." A series of explosions rocked the station as overloaded systems gave way. Emergency force fields sprang into place, containing the damage, but for how long? On Earth, President Stern coordinated the global response from a hardened bunker beneath Washington, D.C. Holographic displays showed the unfolding crisis in real time. Red zones indicating areas affected by gravity fluctuations, casualty reports scrolling in an endless stream. As if the situation wasn't dire enough, a new complication arose. The unknown alien fleet, which had remained eerily passive until now, suddenly sprang into action. Their smaller craft reconfigured, forming a massive three-dimensional array around the Earth. "Mr. President," a military advisor called out, "we're detecting a massive energy buildup from the alien formation." Before anyone could react, the array activated. A complex pattern of energy waves washed over the planet, interacting with Earth's magnetic field. Brilliant auroras blossomed across the sky, visible even in daylight, a beautiful yet terrifying reminder of humanity's precarious position. Ambassador Lyrax, observing the escalating crisis, made a fateful decision. "We can no longer remain passive," she announced to her fellow council members. "Authorize deployment of our gravity stabilization fleet." Within moments, sleek silver vessels descended from the Galactic Council's peacekeeping force. They took up positions around the globe, their advanced technology emitting counteracting fields that began to dampen the wild gravity fluctuations. Back in the Mojave, Draco hit the ground hard, his suit absorbing most of the impact. He scrambled to his feet, scanning the sky for the vital component. There, a parachute drifting lazily despite the chaos around it. Draco began to run, his muscles screaming as he fought against the shifting gravitational forces. At Icarus Base, Anthony and Elena worked feverishly to prepare for the component's arrival. The base shuddered around them, debris raining from the ceiling as the structure threatened to tear itself apart. "There!" Elena shouted, pointing at a monitor showing the exterior of the base. A battered figure could be seen approaching, dragging a large container behind him. Moments later, Draco burst into the control room, his face bloodied but triumphant. "Special delivery," he gasped, collapsing to his knees. Anthony and Elena wasted no time. With practiced efficiency, they integrated the new component into the implosion device. The effect was immediate. The wild fluctuations began to stabilize, the crushing gravity waves subsiding. As the situation on Earth showed signs of improvement, a new development captured the world's attention. The alien megaship orbiting Mars suddenly activated, firing a massive energy beam at the red planet's surface. The implications were staggering. As humanity fought for its very survival, an advanced alien civilization was reshaping their celestial neighbor, perhaps preparing it for colonization. Elena leaned in, her brow furrowed. "What are you saying?" I think they've been here before," Anthony replied. "Eons ago. What if our anti-gravity research was influenced by artifacts or signals they left behind?" As the anti-gravity implosion entered its final stages, a new phenomenon began to form at its heart. A swirling vortex of energy, reminiscent of a wormhole, flickered into existence. "This isn't supposed to happen," Elena shouted, her fingers flying across the controls. "The gravitational stresses are off the charts." The strange anomaly pulsed, sending out waves of distortion that reached beyond Earth's atmosphere. On screens worldwide, astronomers watched in horror as the moon's orbit began to shift, pulled by the immense gravitational forces unleashed by the implosion process. Humanity stood at a crossroads. The anti-gravity crisis was on the verge of resolution, but new challenges loomed on the horizon. The unknown aliens' actions on Mars, the potential colonization of the red planet, and the destabilization of the Earth-Moon system presented unprecedented threats and opportunities. As the world held its breath, waiting to see how these converging crises would perseverance, one thing became clear: nothing would ever be the same again. The universe had revealed itself to be far more complex, dangerous, and wondrous than anyone had ever imagined, and humanity's place within it hung in the balance. "We need to act fast," he said, turning to Dr. Elena Volkov. "If we don't contain this, we could lose the moon entirely." Elena nodded, her mind racing through calculations. "What if we—" She paused, a daring idea forming. "What if we redirect the implosion's energy into the wormhole itself?" Anthony's fingers flew across the holographic display, running simulations. "It could work. We'd be killing two birds with one stone, closing the wormhole and neutralizing the remaining gravitational anomalies." "It's risky," Elena cautioned, "but at this point, we're out of options." Anthony opened a secure channel to the alien observation station. "Colonel Hawkins, we have a plan, but we'll need your help." Aboard the station, Hawkins and Zax listened intently as Anthony outlined the proposal. The alien's multifaceted eyes swirled with concern. "The energy requirements are immense," Zax said. "Our power core is already strained to its limits." Hawkins studied the alien controls before him. "What if we reroute all non-essential systems? We could channel everything into the satellite network." Back on Earth, Anthony coordinated with the Russian-Chinese alliance to reconfigure their satellite network. The modified satellites shifted into a new formation, creating a tight energy web around the planet. As preparations neared completion, alarms blared across every monitoring station. The unknown alien fleet was on the move. A single, colossal vessel detached from the group, descending towards Earth with fluid grace. It positioned itself directly above the wormhole anomaly, dwarfing everything in sight. "Are they attacking?" Draco asked, his hand instinctively moving to a weapon that wasn't there. Anthony shook his head, eyes fixed on the readings. "No. Look!" A brilliant beam of energy erupted from the alien ship, enveloping the space between Earth and the moon. The lunar orbit, which had been decaying rapidly, began to stabilize. Anthony's mind raced. If the aliens could understand the gravity of the situation, perhaps they could comprehend the solution as well. In a burst of inspiration, he began transmitting a series of complex mathematical equations and diagrams, illustrating their plan to close the wormhole. 10 seconds ticked by as they waited for a response. Suddenly, the alien ship's energy beams shifted, aligning perfectly with the conduits formed by Earth's satellite network. With all pieces in place, Anthony initiated the final sequence. Energy surged from the alien observation station, flowing through Earth's satellite network in a dazzling display of light. The unknown alien ship added its power to the mix, creating a spectacle visible from every corner of the globe. The combined might of human ingenuity and alien technology bore down on the wormhole. The swirling vortex began to contract, its pull on the moon weakening with each passing moment. Across the planet, the remaining anti-gravity anomalies started to dissipate, normal gravitational conditions slowly returning. In the control room of Icarus Base, Anthony, Elena, and Draco watched with held breath as readings stabilized one by one. The floor beneath their feet, which had been shifting unpredictably for hours, finally settled. "It's working," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might jinx their success. As the operation concluded, the massive alien ship gracefully ascended to rejoin its fleet. A new transmission flooded Earth's communication channels, a complex tapestry of mathematical symbols and vivid imagery. "It's an invitation," Anthony announced, his voice filled with awe. "They want us to join them, at some kind of galactic assembly." Before they could fully process this revelation, another transmission arrived, this one from the Galactic Council. Ambassador Lyrax's image appeared on the main screen, her alien features set in an expression of what could only be described as respect. "People of Earth," she began, "you have demonstrated remarkable resourcefulness and unity in the face of this crisis. The Galactic Council is impressed by your achievements and your potential. We hereby extend an offer for Earth to join our ranks as a probationary member." The control room erupted in cheers, the weight of their ordeal finally lifting. As the news spread across the globe, a wave of jubilation and hope swept through humanity. They had not only survived, but had earned their place among the stars. In the days that followed, Earth's leaders convened in an unprecedented global summit. The decision was unanimous. They would accept both the unknown aliens' invitation and the Galactic Council's offer. As preparations began for humanity's first steps into the galactic community, Anthony found himself staring at the night sky from the roof of Icarus Base. The stars seemed brighter somehow, full of promise and possibility. As they stood there, contemplating the vast expanse of space that was now open to them, a streak of light caught their attention. It wasn't a shooting star, but a ship, one of the Galactic Council's vessels, beginning its descent to establish Earth's first alien embassy. The era of humanity's isolation was over. No longer confined to their Deathworld, they were ready to take their place in the cosmic tapestry of civilizations. The challenges ahead were daunting, but after what they had overcome, Anthony knew that humanity was ready to face whatever the universe had in store.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.